All right, welcome back. So hopefully we won't have any interruptions from my little teacher's assistant. She's too eager to help, so I had to kick her out of the recording studio. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at these different challenges for major essay project number 3. Many of them are going to seem familiar because we're building on them from our previous essay projects, but let's jump into this. So in this essay project, we're challenged to write an essay with a coherent and purposeful structure and organization that resists the limiting nature of the 5-paragraph essay. So what that means is that we don't want to fall into the pattern of the 5-paragraph essay structure. And in fact, this essay is going to be very hard to fall into that pattern because we're also challenged to write at least 12 well-developed and supported paragraphs. Now, in a paper of 8 to 10 pages, that should be very easy to do. But we want to make sure that we are breaking our ideas into coherent, well-structured paragraphs, well-developed and supported paragraphs, separating our ideas. We're challenged to cite at least 8 relevant and credible sources, 5 of which must come from the library's online databases. Again, there's a separate video that walks you through how to access these databases, so please make sure that you watch that. We're challenged to incorporate textual evidence from our selected sources, integrating quotations effectively, using signal phrases to introduce quotations, and providing context for our readers. So you can refer to the integrating quotations document that I mentioned or introduced earlier in the semester, but we want to make sure that we're making sure we're integrating our quotations effectively by using signal phrases. We're providing context and background for our quotations. We're explaining our quotations, making sure that they are not speaking for themselves. So you can find more information in the integrating quotations document. We're challenged to put our sources into conversation with our own ideas. How can we synthesize these different sources with our own ideas? So when we say put our sources into conversation with our own ideas, what we mean by that is a conversation is an exchange of ideas from multiple sources. So if we think of a conversation in our own lives, what makes for a good conversation is an even measure of exchange. So our participants are participating in such a way where everybody's being heard and the ideas are building off of one another. So in essence, that means that we are making connections among our various sources. We're showing how one source connects to another source and how an idea in another source is related to an idea that we found in yet another source. So we're showing how everything's connected. So this word synthesize, to synthesize, means that we're taking parts from different sources and we're putting them together to create something new. We're challenged to think about our audience and our purpose for writing this. So what's our rhetorical situation? How does this influence the way we approach our essay? Remember that our tone should be invitational, not confrontational. So we want to keep our audience in mind. Who are our readers? What are the expectations of these various readers or members of our audience? What do they need to know? What do we need to make sure that we are doing in our writing so that their expectations are met? What is our purpose for this essay project? What are we trying to accomplish? So all of these things we need to take into consideration. So we need to essentially what we're going to do is build on the skills that we've developed from our previous major essay projects and now incorporate them into our own writing or continue to build on them in our own writing. So be mindful of our rhetorical choices. How can we make our argument the most successfully? We're challenged to show strong consideration of the various rhetorical devices and strategies for constructing effective arguments we've been learning about from Everything's an Argument. So everything up until this point and continuing on, everything that we've read from Everything's an Argument, we want to make sure that we're taking all of those rhetorical concepts and ideas into consideration. So how can we incorporate a strong awareness of ethos, pathos, logos, and kairos in our own writing? How are we going to appeal to our audiences to make sure that our message is successful? We're challenged to write a conclusion that does not simply summarize our paper. So remember that summary style is a carryover of the 5-paragraph essay structure. And again, we're moving beyond that, right? So we want to make sure that we are addressing the so what question. In other words, we are underscoring the significance of the ideas we explored in our essay. What's the bigger picture? Why is this important? Why should we care about this? So a good way to do this is to point toward the future. So how are the ideas explored in your essay going to influence the future? That's a good way to address it. We're challenged to create a title that conveys the purpose of our paper and follows the title:/subtitle pattern. So the title is what catches your reader's attention, and then the subtitle is what clarifies what your essay is going to focus on. And so there is a title:/subtitle document in the modules that you want to take a look at. We're challenged to show ownership and pride over our work, taking care to eliminate major or distracting spelling, grammatical, and typographical errors. So this is important because whether we like this fact or not, the work that we put into the world is going to be judged by others as representations of us as people. Again, whether we like that reality or not, that's just how it is. And so we want to make sure that the work that we are producing is going to be a good representation of the hard work we put into it so that people can judge it accurately, right? So we want to make sure that we are taking responsibility over our essay so that we care for it. We've actually demonstrated that we put in this hard work and we've taken ownership over it. Otherwise, how can you expect others to take it seriously if you yourself did not take it seriously? We're challenged to format our essays according to MLA guidelines. So that means 12-point Times New Roman font, double-spaced the entire document, so there's no extra spaces between anything. It's just an entire document is double-spaced, 1-inch margins on all 4 sides. And we want to make sure that we have a properly formatted works cited page. This is especially important in this essay project because we're going to be working with at least 8 sources. So we want to make sure that we are including the publication information for those sources in our works cited page. All right, so our due dates for this essay project are as follows. Now, we have a component of this essay project called the annotated bibliography, which is split into 2 parts. And there's a separate prompt for this component of the essay project and also a separate explanation video. So make sure that you take a look at that. But the first part of our annotated bibliography, which will have 2 sources, is due Sunday the 7th of November on Canvas by midnight. The second part of the annotated bibliography will have 3 additional sources, and that is due Sunday the 14th of November through Canvas by midnight. Draft 1 of Major Essay Project 3 is due Sunday the 21st of November, and that's going to be at least 3 full pages in length, and that's due via Canvas by midnight. Draft 2 is due Sunday the 5th of December, and that will be at least 6 full pages in length. And then the polished draft is due Wednesday the 15th of December. And that will be at least 8 to 10 pages in length. And then, of course, we have a cover letter for this project as well that will give me a heads up on what you are working on in the essay project. Couple of notes here. For this essay project, for this major essay project, you must submit all components, the ANBIBs and the 3 drafts, as well as the cover letter by expected deadlines in order for this project to be considered complete. So what that means is you can't skip over any of these things. You need to submit everything in order for this to be considered a complete project. An additional note, rather than showing your reader what you already know, try to show your reader how you worked your way through something that you didn't already know. You're not trying to prove that you're right about something. Use your writing as a way of learning for you. And so this goes back to some of these things that we mentioned above, where we're not trying to convince or persuade our readers. We're not trying to make sure that our side is correct or viewed as correct. What we're trying to do is just take our readers on this journey. So we want to build that invitational tone. And so in order to do that, keep these things in mind. You're not trying to prove that you're right about something, and you're not. We're less interested in demonstrating what you already know about a topic, and we're more interested in how you're putting this information together to create something new, create new ideas to make this a learning experience for yourself. Now, to help set the tone for this, I've included some important and relevant quotations from Everything's an Argument that I want you to take a look at. So these quotations can help you conceive of this project in the correct spirit, or the appropriate spirit, so that you know how to approach this essay project. All right, y'all. Well, that about does it. If you have any questions, you can always send me a message on Canvas. I look forward to getting going on this with you. And happy researching.